Jake Paul's going to run out of opponents, and the fact that he's not a real boxer, like, we're going to find out, like, hey, like, you run out of MMA guys, retired MMA guys that are probably done fighting. Now you gotta look for an opponent. You gotta look for a real boxer. People are gonna start to lose interest. You know, you don't have a big draw name like Tommy or Nate Diaz or something like that, right? Who are you gonna fight? You can't fight someone like Devin Haney. You can't fight nobody like Lomachenko, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Canelo. You can't fight those guys. You're gonna get beat the fuck up. You know, the only opponent that I think he could possibly get is Conor McGregor. You know, if they find ways to basically avoid him taking a drug test. When I think Jake loves the idea, right? He loves this idea of being a boxer. He loves the fame. He loves promoting. He loves that idea. I don't think he really loves boxing. Hey guys, welcome back to the False Line Podcast with episode 152. It's me. We're back to Tuesdays and Fridays, so we'll get 2 episodes a week of me. So hopefully that works out. I just want to say thank you for the viewers who watched the last episode. We hit 1,000 views, which is a big milestone for any video for me. Because, you know, usually we average, honestly, like 80 views per video. And to get 1,000... it makes me real happy. That's the second video that got 1,000 this year, and really in like the last 2 months. So it makes me, I feel like I'm going in the right direction. So thank you guys for that. I'm gonna keep trying, putting out really good content. The YouTube clip page is doing real good too on YouTube. So really happy about that. What else? I want to start a podcast in Spanish. So if you guys are Spanish listeners or know people who think they might enjoy the same type of content but in Spanish, I'll make sure to put the link somewhere in the description when it's up. And today's episode is going to be, we all know they're like 20-30 minutes long, so I'm not even going to say short and sweet. But today's episode is going to be about this weekend. We had Jake Paul and Nate Diaz fight. I want to talk about some Leagues Cup, and I also want to talk about like pound for pound rankings in boxing and UFC. Really about boxing, and so the ones I have really mixed emotions, especially after last week and people talking about certain fighters and things like that. UFC, I have a little bit to say, but not too much. And then I got a lot to say about the Leagues Cup. So let's get right into it. This weekend we did have Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. First reaction, I didn't know what to expect of the fight. You know, I wasn't sure how this fight was going to go. I didn't know how serious Nate was taking this fight. You know, the build up to the fight, not talking at all, really, not talking too much, not really trying to talk some shit. And, you know, Nate's really kind of quiet like that, but here and there he'll throw his shots or he'll say something. But this one, he was just real low-key, real silent, real quiet. And it was kind of like, does he not care? Is he just there to get paid? You know, whatever. So he walks out, and, dude, he looks like he's ready to fight, but he also just looks real goofy. I mean, it's Nate Diaz. He looks goofy. But it's Nate Diaz, right? The fight, I did not expect it to go 10 rounds after that first round. That first round, I thought Nate Diaz was about to get knocked out. But we all know he has a chin. I just never seen his chin or his body get tested in boxing. So we weren't really sure what was going to happen. So first round happens and we're like, man, this fight's about to be over like fast, right? But luckily, you know, Nate Diaz, he can take punches. He can eat punches. I don't think he's ever been knocked out in his like career. So I was like, it's hard for me to see him getting knocked out in boxing, right? So fight goes on, and I mean, we see Nate Diaz, you know, taunting, like doing dumb things, like looking out the ring, walking away from Jake. It was just fucking hilarious. It was funny. And we've seen this from Nate all the time. And I think he plays mind games. He plays those mind games. He tries to bait you in and taunt you. So, I mean, and that's why we love Nate, because he'll do it and he'll fuck you up while doing it. And it's just hilarious. So, you know, the fight goes on. The fight is happening, and you start to see these rounds go, and you're like, fuck, man. Like, Nate's getting better throughout the fight. And obviously, he has somewhat of a history like this. He gets better throughout the fight. 3rd and 4th round in the UFC is when he got real good, especially against like Conor. But usually in the later rounds is when he takes advantage of you. And he requested this fight to go 10 rounds. And he requested it for a reason, because he has the cardio. He can go 10 rounds, and he can like go to war for 10 rounds. Like, I mean, from round one, it was just like he was getting beat up. And he did get beat up. But the fight was close, believe it or not. He put Jake Paul in some really tough situations. And to see Nate Diaz just do that to Jake Paul, who Nate Diaz is not a boxer. I know he says he trains like a boxer and things like that, but clearly it's not the same as like boxing every 6 months or every like 4 to 6 months, whatever it may be, right? So, the later rounds happen, and like, man, Nate Diaz could pull something off and get the KO. Like, we just don't know. And then at the end, he does a little chokehold and everything, right? And he ends up losing the fight. And I mean, in my eyes, it was a dub for both guys. For Nate, he got a big ass payday. For Jake, I mean, he's getting the views. He's getting the views. So, I mean, I wasn't surprised. The fight wasn't really that close. Jake Paul was pretty much dominating the fight. But like I said, he put Jake in some very tough situations, and the crowd was into it. So that was real good. Now, like, what I really want to say about this fight, when I was watching it and I'm looking at it and observing it, I was like, this is fucking entertaining. This is awesome. And Jake Paul talks about being a real fighter, a real boxer, things like that. And, the first thing I want to do is give props to Jake Paul. He just got out his, what is it called? His documentary show or episode on Untold on Netflix. And he did it the week prior before the fight, which is really smart to do. He didn't do it the week of the fight. He did it like literally 7 days before the fight happened, or 8. And he does that, and he hypes it up. He knows how to sell tickets. He knows how to get people to watch. I've watched all of Jake's fights, all of them, and I'm like, why do I watch him fight? And I tell myself, like, I just want to see what happens. This guy talks a lot of shit. He's a YouTuber. Like, does he really got it like that? And, with the knockouts and his performances, clearly he puts in time and work in the gym to put those performances, because it's just not luck. You can't hit people like that, or you can't get those knockouts just cause, right? You got to train. So very impressive, very, very impressive what Jake has done, for boxing. But again, I don't think Jake will ever become like a real professional boxer. I just don't see it. I know he probably wants it, or he's trying to sell it like that. Maybe he knows that he's never going to be a big boxer like that, but he's selling it like that. And the only reason why I say Jake's never going to reach that is because of who he fights. He fights MMA fighters. The only real boxer that he has fought is Tommy Fury, and he got like beat. He got whooped. It wasn't a close fight. And he's not calling out boxers. He's not trying to find boxers to fight, and he's only calling out MMA guys, Conor, Nate. He fought Anderson Silva. He's fought Tyrone Woodley. He's fought Ben Askren. He's going to run out of opponents. That's the thing. Jake Paul's going to run out of opponents, and the fact that he's not a real boxer, like, we're going to find out, like, hey, like, you run out of MMA guys, retired MMA guys that are probably done fighting. Now you gotta look for an opponent. You gotta look for a real boxer, And if he does ever to decide to fight Tommy Fury, he's probably not gonna win that fight. And then after that, people are gonna start to lose interest. People are gonna lose interest. They're gonna be like, who do we? You don't have a big draw name like Tommy or Nate Diaz or something like that, right? Who are you gonna fight? You can't fight someone like Devin Haney. You can't fight nobody like Lomachenko, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Canelo. You can't fight those guys. You're going to get beat the fuck up. The only opponent that I think he could possibly get is Conor McGregor. If they find ways to basically avoid him taking a drug test. But I don't see Jake's Paul like boxing thing go on for another year. I think he has like 1 or 2 more fights, maybe the rematch with Nate. And if he fights Tommy Fury again, and if he ever fights KSI, but he's gonna run out of people. And I like what Jake's is doing. I give him a lot of props. He's made a lot of fucking money doing it. But your boxing run is going to come to an end, you know? And I don't think Jake has it in him where he fights someone like Tommy and he wants to train and take it to the real professional level. I don't think he wants to do that, you know? Because if he did, like those guys, they've been doing this since 6 years old, 8 years old. Like they love the sport, you know? And I think Jake loves the idea, right? He loves this idea of being a boxer. He loves the fame. He loves promoting. He loves that idea. I don't think he really loves boxing, you know? So I think he has a few more fights and that's it. I really think so. Now, the other thing I wanted to add to that is, you know, is Jake Paul ever going to fight KSI? I don't think that fight's never going to happen. I really don't. I think KSI says something about fighting Tommy and that's it. Blah, blah. Like, and the only reason why I say it's not going to happen is because KSI doesn't want that fight. You know, Tommy Fury is going to beat the shit out of KSI and the fight's going to be over. It's plain and simple. You know, Jake Paul has fought way better opponents than KSI. You know, KSI's fought nothing but like nobodies. And he's gotten knockouts against nobody. So I don't see the competition. I don't see that fight ever happening because it's going to be just an embarrassment for KSI. So that fight's never going to happen. The other thing I wanted to talk about, now the pound for pound ranking. So, you know, the box after Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, you know, fought, these rankings came out, and then there was this other boxer named what's his name? I don't want to Nayo Inoue. I don't want to, you know, I don't know his name. Sorry. So Terrence Crawford is number 1 pound for pound. I'm not salty about it. He's 39-0, 30 knockouts. You know, good for him. I honestly think the pound for pound should be Canelo. I'm not sure why he's not in these lists. And I've seen a lot of lists on Twitter, and he's like 5, 6. Like he's in the middle, and I'm like kind of confused. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? You know, he's next to names like Gervonta, you know, Earl, Bivol. Let me see who else. Shakar's in the list, like in Haney. I'm like, bro, like Canelo's like levels above these guys. You know, and you guys are gonna say like, oh, well, it's different weight classes. I'm like, yeah, but pound for pound means the best in a weight class, like in all weight classes, you know, and it's really hard for a 125er or 135er to be pound for pound because you can't. I mean, if you're a 125, you can't go up against a 155er. If you're a 135, you still can't. It's a tough fight for you. So I don't understand how like 125s or 135ers are in the pound for pound. You know, if I'm being honest. Not unless like they're fucking just moving up weight classes like from 125 all the way to like 135 and like dominating. That's when I can understand like, wow, this guy is good, right? So, and I am a Mexican fan, but what Canelo has done, his legacy, his record, the amount of fights he's had, who he has fought in, and like, I mean, the dude's active. He fights twice a year. He doesn't have to do that, you know. And we're reaching like the end. Some of the end's coming for Canelo. We got like 2-3 more years left of him, and that's it. You know, so, I mean, they got Errol Spence at number 4 after getting demolished like that from Terrence Crawford. I mean, I don't see, I mean, if anything, he's close to like like 10, you know, if we're talking top 10 for Errol Spence. Now, this other guy that's number 2, Nayo Inoue, right? And this is why I say that. He's 23-0. He has 20 KOs. I forgot what the weight class is. I want to say he fights at 125. He's only had 23 professional fights, you know, 20 knockouts. Very impressive. Don't get me wrong. But I don't understand how someone like him is ranked, like ESPN ranks him at number 2 pound for pound. You know, I'm not familiar with him. I don't know who he has fought in. I'm not familiar with the division at 125 or 120, you know, but at that weight class, again, I don't understand how you're so high in the rankings when you're fighting at 125. Like, you're so small. You know, and if you fight anybody like at 135 or 140, like you're probably going to lose. So it's hard for me to say like, oh, this guy's pound for pound, right? So that's that. Usage is in there. I got mixed emotions about him. And the other one that I want to talk about is Shakar Stevenson, right? He's 20-0, 10 knockouts. I don't understand how he's even on the list. I'm being honest with you. I don't understand how Lomachenko is not on that list. Gervonta Davis is not on the list. But they got Shakar Stevenson on the list. I don't get it, right? And I'm going to be real with you. I think the only reason why he's on this list is because of the promotion that he fights for or with how that works. And I think that's the only reason why he's on that list. I think he fights at 135, 137, somewhere around there. Like Gervonta, Devin Haney, that weight class. He hasn't fought anybody, a big name in his weight class. Don't get me wrong. He's a good boxer. I've never seen him box. I've seen his highlights. He's a good boxer, great movement. But let's put a test on these guys and then give them the rankings on pound for pound list. How are we going to put someone on the pound for pound list when they haven't fought like a really good opponent? You know, you fighting Cans, you look great. You look great. You know, but when you fight someone that's ranked or someone that's really good with experience with more than 25 fights, I understand. I get it. But I mean, you're 20-0 with 10 knockouts. It's sloppy, right? Devin Haney is number 10. I think he should be a lot higher on that list. I think Lomachenko should be on that list. Gervonta Davis maybe should be on that list. But I saw his name like on Twitter too, like 5, 6, like next to Canelo. And again, Gervonta has beaten Ryan Garcia. And he's fighting a few other really good guys. But again, big names. Lomachenko, Shakar, Devin Haney. He beat Ryan Garcia. He beat Rolly. Rolly Romero is not that good. Ryan Garcia, we don't really know how good he is. He's really good, but we don't know how good he is. Pitbull Cruz, you know. I know he fought him, but I mean, that was like on a notice. He took that fight last minute. So, again, I don't understand the pound for pounds or how they work and how they get there. I don't understand it. So, let's see. What was the next thing? Then we got UFC pound for pound rankings. I'm gonna go through in order 1 through 10. We got Volkanovski at 1, John Jones 1, Islam Makhachev 3, Leon Edwards 4, Izzy is 5, Aljamain is 6, Charles Oliveira 7, Kamaru Usman 8, Alexander Pantoja 9, Yuri Prochazka is 10, and Alex Pereira is 10. I'm a little upset that John Jones is 1 with Alexander Volkanovski. If anyone should be tied with Volkanovski, it should be Israel Adesanya, if I'm being honest with you. What Israel Adesanya has done, I think the guy's corny. What he did last with I forgot who, with Dracus du Plessis. Like I was like, what the fuck are you doing? But he has beaten everybody in his division, everybody. And he doesn't fight in the little booty weight class. He fights at 185. You know, with killers, bro. He knocked out Alex Pereira. He TK'd Robert Whitaker. He's beaten what's his name? Carnier. And I know there's names that I'm missing, but like he's beaten everybody. And now he's gonna fight Sean Strickland. Then he's gonna fight Dracus du Plessis, and he's probably gonna beat him. And he's probably gonna TKO them, if I'm being honest. So I don't understand how he's not number 1. John Jones, in my opinion, should be like 5, 6, somewhere around there. Islam Makhachev, another one. He's number 3. I think he's high up there. I think Leon Edwards is higher than him, and I think someone like Aljamain is higher than him. And you guys be like, what the fuck? And I'm not, again, Islam Makhachev is a beast. I'm not a fan. I low-key hate on the guy. But yeah, he should be like number 6 or number 5. How are you so high up there? You fought one ranked guy, Charles Oliveira, the champion, right? And people are going to say, oh, well, he destroyed a streak, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, guys, I hate hearing that shit because it's just like every fight's different, every camp's different, every weight cut's different, you know, and it's one fight, one opponent. That's one whole weight cut. That's a whole camp. Now imagine that times 4 and 5, like someone like Charles or Volkanovski. Like, oh, he snapped Volkanovski's streak too. I was like, Volkanovski never fought at 155. So I don't know what streak you guys are talking about. It's different. So for Islam to be so high up there at number 3, I'm not a fan. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, Leon Edwards, in my opinion, should be like somewhere like number 3 because, I mean, the weight class, and he beat Kamaru Usman twice. You know, Kamaru Usman has been through everybody, and for Leon Edwards to beat him back-to-back is fucking insane. Let's see. And then after that, I mean, we got Charles at 7, Kamaru at 8, Alexander Pantoja at 9, Your Preserved at 10, Alex Pereira at 10. I understand. You know, I get it. Let's see. So again, I mean, there's a few guys that I think, like I said, Izzy should be up there. Aljamain Sterling's definitely up there. I mean, it really should be Volkanovski, Israel Adesanya. Who was it third? I gotta be careful with my words here. Israel Adesanya. Then I'm gonna say Leon Edwards, and then Aljamain Sterling. Those are my top 5 guys, honestly, and those should be top 5 in pound for pound rankings. So, yep. Last thing I want to talk about, guys, is the Leagues Cup. You know, and it's just a little bit, guys, that I want to kind of talk about and kind of complain about. So, Chivas got eliminated first 2 games. Very, very shitty performance, and I was very upset and butthurt about it. And one thing that I've noticed throughout the games, I've noticed a pattern. You know, the MLS has a great advantage in this tournament, and it's very disgusting. It's very disappointing for the sport, and it's just ugly. You know, it's just ugly. And Chivas got eliminated the first game. I thought there should have been a handball call. The red card shouldn't have been. There should have been given. And the last goal that Cincinnati scored, I want to say, should have been checked by VAR, right? Against Kansas City, we played like shit, so that's what we get. But and then like the Messi game, you know, Messi, he doesn't get a yellow card against Orlando. They called the penalty that probably shouldn't have been called. The first game, same thing. That free kick that was given to him is just like, it's very, very iffy. So just not liking that. What was the other thing I wanted to mention about this? So another thing that I want to talk about is the way the bracket is set up, right? All the good Mexican teams are on one side of the bracket. Why is that? In my eyes, I'm like, how is that even possible? There's so many MLS teams. I want to say there's like 28, 26 MLS teams. There's only 18 Mexican teams. Only 18. You got like 10 or 12 more MLS teams than Mexican teams. And you put the best teams on one side. You know, and then they play each other in the first knockout stage, like Pumas Querétaro. How the fuck does that happen? I don't understand that, right? And I mean, again, it's getting pretty obvious that the Leagues Cup is for the MLS, and they want an MLS team to win it. You know, the other thing that I saw that made me really upset today is that I saw that Tigres plays Monterrey tomorrow. You know, when I see that game in the Liga MX, it's like a fucking banger. I don't understand how we're seeing that in the round of 16. I don't get it. How do we get a Clásico Regio when there's only now probably 6 teams in the Liga MX? I get it. There was 18 in total, but how does that happen? Why is Monterrey and Tigres going to play each other in the second knockout game? Why? And then after that, it's probably going to be Tigres against America or someone else. Like, it's going to be another banger at quarterfinals. You know, I don't get that shit. It's like those games need to be happening like semis or quarters or even the final. And the most sad thing about this cup is that only one Mexican team will be able to make it to the final. Out of the 6 probably teams that are left, only one Mexican team will be able to make that final. Only one. It's like there's no possibility for a Mexican final. There's a possibility for an MLS final, which is probably going to happen. I find it very hard for one team to make it all the way. I wish America, Tigres, Monterrey, Toluca, and Querétaro were all spread out. You know, especially Tigres, Monterrey, and America. Like, there should not be anywhere near each other by playing. They should be playing each other in semis or for the final. Dead ass. The best teams, you know. I'm just being honest. And it just makes me upset, you know, because it's the Leagues Cup. And this is a tournament where you want to see MLS and the Liga MX compete, and you want to get bragging rights, but not like this. Not like this. This game or this tournament is for the MLS, and now it's just a big commercial stunt to me. Like, it's a fun tournament. It's badass. It's fucking entertaining, but the refs all in favor for the MLS teams. VAR, they're rarely checking the VAR for the Mexican teams. I don't fucking get it. Querétaro scored a clear goal and they went to VAR. When Miami scores or an MLS team scores, there's no VAR, bro. That shit pisses me off because in the World Cup, we hate VAR. In the Premier League, we hate VAR because how much times they used it. Same thing, Champions League, we hate VAR because like any small thing, they're going to take that goal away. But in the MLS, they're not doing that shit. And it's fucking annoying. So, guys, that's the end of the show, 152. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll see if I do the Spanish one here in a second. Peace.